Okay, I've tried recording this too many times now, so sod it. This is it. This is the one take, and I'll just edit it to sound good. So, what are we talking about here today, boys and girls? Because we've had a bit of a slump in the videos, haven't we?
The Fourth Tyrannic
Well,
War rages
Games
across
Workshop decided they were going to release the very first battle report of the 10th edition on the internet. I know they're doing some live feeds over the next few weeks. I know that people have already play tested it, but this is the actual first technical video. So I thought this would be quite a good sort of standard to kind of measure everything that sort of comes up, because ultimately this is Games Workshop as a company saying this is what a battle report looks like. If you pay for our subscription service, this is the level, this is the quality that you can expect. If you're watching battle reports on YouTube and they charge you, this is what you should expect, right? The fact that you've got studio painted miniatures on a studio prepared table, CGI cinematics filtered in, you've got all the After Effects, you've got all the glowing icons for for mission objectives and units and special rules and health trackers, which I do like the multiple pip health trackers. That's a really nice touch. But this is the expectation now, because I think when you look at YouTube, there are thousands, absolutely thousands of battle reports. It's absurd. Across all editions of Warhammer, across all game systems, there are battle report videos, but the quality is hit and miss because they're amateur productions. This is actually Games Workshop. This is the standard they expect people to hit, and here it is. Or at least this is the standard that you can expect from them now going forwards. We can't really measure it against anything that came before it because those would have been work in progress leading up to this point. But moving forwards, this is it. So if Games Workshop aren't hitting this level, then what are they hitting? Because it's not good enough. So let's just talk about okay, so what's this video? This video is not going to talk about the the actual game itself. It's not going to talk about the core rules to 10th edition because they literally dropped today at the recording of this video, the 2nd of June 2023, and people who are more invested in the game than I am will be picking that file apart and learning it like the back of their hand. No, this is going to look at the quality of the video itself, its ease of viewing, all the positives and all the negatives from it. And I think it's important to take battle reports as a form of media in of themselves because they are featuring it on Warhammer Plus, a subscription service, like you would have an animated TV show or one of their lore master videos where they talk about the history of the game. This is it, this is the main show. Right? This is like watching people play poker. Okay, so that's the reason why looking at this is important. Now, as sort of stated, the actual flashiness of it, the quality of the models, the quality of the table, all of the After Effects and all that, on point, wonderful. I think there are things that need improving, like some of the close-ups on the models. You can see where the highlights on the miniatures' faces, it gets a bit blotchy and a bit thick, but that's because they were never intended to be seen that zoomed in. Right, when you hold a model up to your face, there comes a point where you can't physically focus on it anymore unless you're using a camera or a magnifying lens or something like that. But that's not the painter's fault, that's the close-up nature of the camera. Everything looks thick that close up. Ultimately, there are positive takeaways here as well, like the little additions they do in the video, and the fact that this is what 36 minutes long. This is how long Warhammer videos, battle reports, should be, unless you're doing something outrageous like an apocalypse game or a 10,000 point aside mega game with titans and all this. Your games don't need to last an hour, 2 hours when it comes to watching it. You can cut out a lot of the dry turns. You can cut out a lot of the decisions and the back and forth, and just leave that out. We don't need to see every dice roll. Maybe a bit at the start, maybe a bit at the end. That's it. Because ultimately, Warhammer, like a lot of these games, it's great fun to play. It is really boring to watch unless it's a really intense game or unless it's like real masters of the format playing against each other in a tournament or something. It is not that exciting to watch. But to play, it's fantastic. I do want to hammer this home for a minute, guys, because this is important to everyone who streams themselves playing games of 40k. I'm not saying you're wrong for enjoying that if you do enjoy that, but when I'm watching a game, I genuinely find that unless it's succinct and edited and punchy, it just drags like rocks. And I can't just dedicate 2 hours of my day watching you roll dice and measure things out. It's too much. It's boring. Okay? Like, I get that people can have the banter, I get that people can, have really exciting gameplay moments, but you have to edit to those moments. You can't just leave the whole raw footage up there. And I know some channels have made their careers off of that, but I don't watch those channels. This was a video that I could genuinely watch from start to finish and enjoy. That said, and I think this needs to be seen as a positive and a negative, this is a corporate product from Games Workshop, alright? This is presenting the game in the best light of their choosing. Okay, so no one swears, no one says any naughty words, there are no in-jokes at all. It's Ben and Simon, last names not important. These are employees of Games Workshop playing with factions that they are sort of prepped on beforehand. So there's no fumbling in books looking for rules, there's no misplays, there's nothing. This you get this feeling after what, the first 10 minutes, really, once you get past this initial combat with the librarian and the von Riemann leapers, or whatever they're called, the lictors. Once you get past this initial combat, you realize this is a staged game, okay? This is a choreographed thing. This is staged. There will be multiple cameras in this room recording them and cameramen to get in on the close-ups. This is the thing. It's not a casual, fair, balanced game because they're trying to present the best possible image of Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. And it looks fine. To a lot of people, you look at this and you go, yeah, this is Warhammer. This is what it is. Immediate differences are the fact that you've got all these keyword abilities now, which is what we used to have in 7th. So, it's sort of what's old is new again. But at the same time, it's the little things. It's how, no one swears. It's all curses and darn. But they don't even say curses. They say curtains because curse could be considered a insulting term. Like, you're cursing that person. Oh, cancel the company, you know? So it's an interesting one. It really is. As a battle report goes, it's quite a... Well, as I said, I could watch it through without an issue. It is a wonderfully succinct piece of media. It is what battle reports should be. I don't expect your average amateur productions to have CGI special effects, okay? Companies can do that, individuals cannot. The after effects on the screen, they borrow a lot. You look at previous battle reports by groups like Play on Tabletop, and yeah, they were doing that like years ago. Okay, so that's a heavy inspiration right there. These guys have had enough time to sit in the background and just look and watch and see what others in the community have been doing and learn. And now here we are. This is the gold standard. You do this or it's not good enough. That is the impression. But at the same time, I look at some of the Warhammer battle reports that last hours and I go, well, yeah, that's not good enough because I'm not going to sit there and watch all of that rubbish, okay? Your game's not that exciting for it to be hours long. Your jokes aren't that funny. So yeah, it's quite an interesting video. I think the forces aren't terribly balanced. I mean, let's just rewind to the start a little bit. What have we got? We've got a tyranny. Well, this is the two forces from the Leviathan box set, isn't it? You've got two squads of 10 Termagaunts, you've got a flying captain, you've got some lictors, you've got some of those heavy gaunts, and you've got the weird new mind tyrant xenophage thing, right? You look at the Space Marine side, right? And it's a squad of 5 Terminators, a Terminator librarian, Terminator captain, and 5 Primaris flame blasters, whatever they're calling them these days. But yeah, 5 were flamers. And these are not terribly balanced forces, are they? Like, you bring 2-up saves to any party and your opponent's going to have a rough time. However, you look at the contents of the actual Leviathan box that is coming out, and all of these models are present, but in different quantities. Like, we are missing we're missing all of the Tyranid swarms, the actual swarms that go with the Termagants. They're not there. We're missing the Neurogaunts, we're missing the Screamer Killer and the Neuro Tyrant. But then with the Primaris, we're missing 5 of the 10 Flame Blast guys. We're missing the Primaris Lieutenant, of course, the Apothecary, and the Dreadnought, and the new Stern Guard veterans. So they're not terribly balanced forces. These are the start collecting forces, and already the concern is that you're not getting a lot for the money, because you can guarantee that these will be like £95 boxes. 5 Terminators and 5 Geyser Flamers and 2 Terminator characters is not a lot for nearly £100, let alone the equivalent in dollars. And then if you look at the Tyranid side, I get that part of this is you make the Leviathan box set more enticing, but again, it's not a massive force. This is a small force for this style of game. Again, it's combat patrol, it's 500 points. You're not going to have these massive armies with artillery and special characters and titans and all that, but you'd expect something more than 2 troops choices, a special troops choice, an elite, and a heavy. Would you class that as a heavy? I don't know. But then you look at the Space Marine side, it's 1 troops choice, 2 characters, and 1 elite's choice. It's very disjointed, shall we say. But yeah, so you've got the choice of forces, you've got the video itself, the combat is relatively tasteful. I think it's a bit gratuitous to constantly be having rules and things thrown up on the screen. But just have a quick montage of every time they don't swear. I think that's quite good.
So I've got a 4-up save. Let's see if they can do it. Bounces off the chitin.
Curses.
Don't you dare roll a 5 or 6 again.
There it is. Oh, there it is!
Oh no! You've done him again!
Yeah.
Oh,
Each psychic energy blasted through your mortal wound.
3, 5 or more saves from my psychophage then. Oh no, he hasn't made any of them! Now that's at -1 AP, Simon, and 2 damage each.
Aye, that's not cool.
Oh no! It's gone! Nothing I can do about that.
And yeah, so this is Warhammer 10th edition, and I know the community's sort of got all sorts of thoughts at the moment about it. I'm going to start looking through the core rules now just to see what's really changed from 8th and 9th edition. I believe, yeah, they've posted up the roadmap already, haven't they? And we know to expect over the coming weeks and months. Let's quickly look at it. What have we got? First thing, of course, is Leviathan with Tyranids and Space Marines coming out sort of summer and autumn. Then Mechanicus and Necrons, for some reason, in winter. Necrons at least makes sense because it was, the first faction from the previous edition, and they typically do that. See Death Guard from 9th. But then spring, Dark Angels, Orcs, Custodes, Tau, and Chaos Space Marines. Always happy to see my Iron Warrior Chads being represented in the game. It's just a strange layout of factions. No Sisters of Battle, no Imperial forces. I'm guessing they're just getting PDFs. At least that's what the article seems to indicate. They're doing Codex Dark Angels, but then they're not doing any of the other codexes. I mean, I guess because Lion literally just got released, but then if we're going by that argument, why not an Imperial Guard and a World Eaters release? Are you going to make Imperial Guard wait 2 years again? It's just, it raises a lot of questions. But overall, yeah, the video is pretty good. Happy to see they've expanded their studio setup to look more professional and less barren as some of the first videos they ever did. Yeah, overall, it's a good battle report. I would watch more of them. I'm not paying for Warhammer Plus. That's a video in its own right. And Yeah, I don't know how many 40k 10th edition videos I do. I know I've got on a channel update side, I've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the Warhammer Imperium magazine because I'm waiting for the last delivery of that now, and then I can do a video where I can literally talk about that whole experience because I've finished it. I finished the series, which is quite nice. So I can go over the binders and the models and all that. Um, Likewise with 10th edition, again, Games Workshop love to change it up every few years. Um, yeah, I'm going to have a look through the core rules and just see what sort of bits and pieces have changed. But overall, that's it. That's my review of this first ever battle report for Warhammer 10th edition. Overall, it's a corporate product and it shows the actual, content is fine. The game itself was fine. There are some questions around staging and like rule interactions because I don't feel like they work that way, but I can't tell without reading the basic rules. Um, the models were beautifully painted and the scenery is good as expected. Yeah, just all in all, a solid battle report. I would watch more of them, but I would not pay for them. And yeah, stay tuned. All right, thank you and goodbye.